Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are having a fantastic day. So in today's video, as you can tell by the title, we'll be talking about a very large and destructive winter storm that right now is, well, it's beginning to occur across portions of the southwest into New Mexico and Colorado, and it will continue to pile on a potentially ridiculous amount of snow, especially for this time of the year, across portions of northern New Mexico, southern Colorado, even the panhandles of Texas and Oklahoma. Some of these amounts are going to be well into the 30+ inch range, maybe even approaching 40 inches in some areas. In the higher elevations, probably exceeding those. You could see the projected snowfall for major cities like Las Vegas, not the one in Nevada, but the one in New Mexico, showing up to 31 inches of snow. So an incredible winter storm is going to be ongoing here. You can see that on the map. The National Weather Service has a bunch of winter weather advisories, mainly winter storm warnings though, and that includes, again, most of northern New Mexico, central New Mexico, southern Colorado, and into portions of the panhandle of Oklahoma and Texas. So this is the first winter storm of the year. It's, I call it a winter storm. It's not winter yet, but it's because of the impacts it brings with snow and whatnot. So I know some people always ask, well, it's not winter, so why is it a winter storm? Well, I don't think it makes that big of a difference, really. So looking at the HRRR model, so this is a high-resolution model. This is a odd, I guess this would be better because of the other region that I just showed you was splitting the view. But as you can see right now, we do have snow already occurring across portions of Colorado and into New Mexico. It is rather light though. There are pockets of it, especially in elevated areas, that are beginning to snow more, but there's no support from the Gulf of Mexico yet. You can see the low pressure hasn't formed yet. We will see both of those developments occur. It's just that they haven't yet. You can see Kansas, the panhandle of Kansas, not panhandle of Kansas, just eastern Kansas, western Kansas, seeing quite a bit of snowfall there, and into Nebraska. This will continue. You can see spinning gradually towards the north and west, and these snowfall bands will continue intensifying and filling in this map. Notice that by today at 9-10 p.m., New Mexico will be seeing quite a bit of snow, especially heavy snowfall rates coming in. The closer you are towards Texas, you could see we have moisture beginning to pump in as this low pressure right here begins to steer in winds that are stronger from the Gulf of Mexico, and with those winds they bring in a lot of moisture, and then we have a lot of cold air on the backside here, and those two things are fighting with this high pressure and this low pressure, and that is usually where you see big storms. And the unique thing with this system is that it is going to be extremely slow moving. So notice that this is already very, very heavy snowfall rates ongoing at this point at 12 o'clock midnight into New Mexico, Texas, Colorado. Denver is still probably going to be on the northern edge of this. They will see some snow, but it seems as if that will come later. And notice that these things just continue to pile on as the low pressure strengthens. The high pressure strengthens as well. Notice we could see a few showers developing in Texas here as this moisture begins to pile in. Maybe some sleet as well, though this mainly seems like a snow versus rain type event. Ice or freezing rain doesn't seem too big of a concern here. Do note though that as we get into the morning hours of tomorrow, so now the night has passed, some of these snowfall amounts, especially according to the high-resolution model, probably will be already approaching upwards towards a foot in some of the elevated areas. On the mainland, the low-lying areas, probably over half a foot, assuming a 10-to-1 ratio, which might be a bit lower since it is pretty warm. But still, 6 inches probably is going to be already on the ground in some of these areas. Notice some of these colorations at this point getting very, very dark blue, and that will indicate a lot of snow that is falling extremely heavily. Do note that at this point, this is probably expanding and will be beginning to snow in areas like Denver, though you will stay on the northern side of this, so the snowfall amounts will be lighter due to the fact that the intensity is weaker. Notice, though, we begin to see more rain coming in through Texas, indicative of more moisture streaming in. And you can see this high pressure stubborn as ever, and it will not budge, which allows all of this to be falling mainly in the form of snow. So this is now 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m., and you can see this thing just continues. It's snowing. There could be some breaks, probably in the afternoon hours. You can see the HRRR model still shows this as being pretty filled in on the map. I don't know how filled in exactly this will be. The models sometimes do overestimate some of these, I guess, radar imagery appearances, as this will probably be a lot more spotty. It seems as if that first wave will probably start tapering around 1 to 2 p.m. Some areas will continue seeing snow and won't stop, but you can see that this thing definitely becomes more spotty as these rain bands begin to kind of consolidate more into showers, and those spill into the cooler areas, allowing for heavier snow to occur. But again, it's also probably going to have warmer temperatures creeping in as this low pressure gets stronger from the south and west. So expect that these snowfall amounts might not really add on as much as what this model is showing at around the 5, 6, 7 p.m. time frame. Possibly earlier as well. You can see at this point the total snowfall, it's showing 18, 17 inches. Definitely a possibility. I don't know if it will be quite that high. My guess right now would be, though, comfortably well over a foot of snow probably should be on the ground at this time tomorrow across much of northern New Mexico, especially the northeastern New Mexico and portions of Colorado. Denver probably sitting around 2 to 3 inches. Again, not all of that will accumulate on roadways. It's it's the first snowstorm of the season, so it's pretty warm overall. And you can see this rain really starts picking up across Texas, starts consolidating into more instead of showery type convective nature to more of these rain showers, or more of this broad area of rain, which is more conducive towards consistent accumulating snowfall. And you can see as we get into the nighttime tomorrow, so again, this thing is still spinning away. You can see we see a second wave of snow coming into New Mexico, Colorado. We could see some really strong storms and very heavy rain across portions of Texas, Oklahoma, as this low pressure again continues to intensify. And now this high pressure also beginning to weaken a bit, but still be there enough for this rain to fall as snow. And notice that as we get into the overnight hours of tomorrow, this thing is still snowing. And it keeps spinning away. And as far as this model goes, 48 hours into Friday, this thing is still producing snow across much of these areas. And a lot of this rain is still occurring across Texas and Oklahoma and Kansas. So in terms of total snowfall, this will be quite a bit. You can see at this point, the HRRR model shows over 2 feet of snow by Friday around noontime. That does seem a little bit of an over-exaggeration, but it is nonetheless a possibility for sure, especially if during the day tomorrow, those snowfall rates continue and continue to be consistent. Unfortunately, this is as far out as the HRRR model goes, 48 hours. So for this, we go back to the GFS now. You can see GFS showing similar snowfall amounts of up to 2 feet of snow by the time we are looking at 12 p.m. Friday. Good news is at this point, this system slowly starts lifting towards the north, not before dumping quite a bit of snow across Denver with that final push into Friday into Saturday night, and then moving off. You can see the system kind of disintegrates, and on the tail end of it, there could be kind of that cold front sector, a potential tropical storm or hurricane, which makes this thing even more so crazy. But do note that the total snowfall from this will be pretty high. It shows Denver at almost 15 inches. I don't know if that's probably not going to be the case in this situation, but you can see that it shows up to 40 inches there, 42 inches. It's certainly a possibility that we could see some obscene snowfall amounts. I mean, this system has the duration and the moisture to do so. It's just that sometimes these models do overestimate things. But I would not be surprised to see some areas approaching, again, 30 plus inches of snowfall. The European model, in order for us to look at the European model, we have to look on the different website, Pivotal Weather, as the other one, Tropical Tidbits, doesn't allow us to look at the European model in terms of rain snow amounts. I want to zoom in on a regional basis here to show you a bit more zoomed in what this system might look like. So again, the next few days here, again, this system spinning away just like the other models, and the HRRR model was showing snow, 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 and then that brief period of break potentially either tomorrow during the day, but then also late Thursday as the system consolidates and finally moves north, and you can see that last thud of snow, if you will, across Colorado, New Mexico, Texas, and Oklahoma, and then this thing spins away towards the north. And pretty much disintegrates as a threat. So if you look at the European model in terms of how much snowfall it's showing, assuming a 10-to-1 snowfall ratio, which probably is a little too high for this snow system, you can see it shows a lot of snow here. Again, showing even some 40-inch amounts. That seems to be consistent with both models. Denver, it shows at almost half a foot, which I don't quite think will be the case, though. Areas out on the plains, definitely a possibility. You can see the National Weather Service has Denver under a winter weather advisory, so for 1 to 3 inches tomorrow or tonight and into the night. And then for Friday, there's going to be again that second thud of snow. Friday into Friday night is where Denver really has to be on the lookout, and they don't have snowfall accumulations out yet for those. but expect that if this thing does look like the models are showing, Denver could easily end up with 6 to 8 inches of snowfall. So that is the GFS. I showed you the snowfall amounts for the GFS. I showed you the snowfall amounts for the European. Let me show you another high resolution model called the RAP. It's kind of like that first model I showed you, but it's, I guess, slightly different. What it's nice about it is that it comes out at different time intervals in a HRRR, so we are able to look at 51 hours out with a fresher model run as opposed to the HRRR model, which it came out a few hours back. So it's a little older data. And we could also look at the Kuchera ratios of snowfall, which tend to be more accurate than a 10:1 as I take into the temperature profile into that. So you can see the RAP snowfall amounts, assuming a 10:1 ratio, just like the other ones, showing a lot of snow here, 36, 40 inches. So that's pretty consistent. This could be one of the nastiest snowstorms that this region sees throughout the whole winter. In terms of the total snowfall for, again, assuming the Kuchera ratio, so taking into account the temperature profile, you can see it's actually increases them, so that would not be good. I do think these are definitely a little overblown. The Kuchera ones, I mean, 54 inches here does seem a little unlikely, 65, but this system definitely has the potential to outperform the snowfall totals given by the National Weather Service. You can see they do have the high-end amount, low-end amount. If anything, it would definitely be more of this scenario where we could see close to 40 inches in some of these areas, especially where the mountains are, and that aids in some of those snowfall accumulating, aids in that snowfall accumulation. But notice, we could take a look at an area that could potentially see a lot of snow. The forecast, so tonight, 5 to 9 inches. Tomorrow, 7 to 11. Tomorrow night, 9 to 13. Really, really a lot of snow, and this thing's not done until Friday night. So you could see how you could quickly get, several feet of snow here, 24 to 48 inches above 7,500 feet. The lower lying areas, 12 to 24. But again, that could still be an underestimate. So really an incredible storm system here, potentially shaping up across the desert southwest, if you will. And this could definitely be a destructive one, which is why I called it that. We have other models like the NAM 12KM. These are ones that go out to 84 hours. I don't like them as much. They've used to be really bad models. They have gotten their act together in recent years, but notice it's showing a similar scenario where we just have this spinning away the snow, falling, snowing and snowing and snowing and snowing before finally pushing up north by late Friday. And by the time all things are said and done, the NAM 12KM also showing amounts anywhere between 2 to 3, even maybe 4 feet in some of the higher elevated areas, probably even more, maybe approaching 50 inches in the peaks of the mountains, if not 60. So that is a NAM 12KM. I showed you the high resolution model. Let me show you the Canadian model. That one I always like to look at as well. You could see, although it's not definitely as good as the European or GFS, you can see it's showing something similar, even higher pockets right here, right where the Texas and Oklahoma panhandle meet with the New Mexican border. So we will have to wait and see, but this is definitely going to be a really, really impactful and powerful system, and with a lot of snow potential. I do also want to make note that there's going to be a lot of rain with this, and if you look at in the areas on the warm side, obviously, so if you look at the total accumulated precipitation for the QPF, a lot of these areas saw rain, quite a bit of it not that long ago, and they will continue to see them piling on these amounts. You could see some areas even 5 inches of rain according to the RAP model. The European model showing again something similar, widespread 2 to 3 inch amounts, but in some areas even 7, 8 inches, which hopefully doesn't happen, but if it does, that could lead to quite a bit of flooding. And I'll make videos on this tomorrow and into Friday, but so far this system is definitely one to keep an eye on for. You could see consistency amongst the models to keep this system very, very strong and very potent before it finally moves on into the north. And I do want to make a note about that, because when this system does finally move on to the north and west, it will be weakening really quickly. So you can see that when it finally does, it will be Saturday, early Saturday, still snowing across Colorado, but the rain will eventually reach the areas like Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, but it will just be a little bit of a rain wave, nothing of significance. You can see at this point that low pressure is not too significantly strong, and it continues routing to the east. And with that little hurricane and the cold front tail of it is also going to be probably a bigger story to watch for the south there. In a long range, if you're watching from somewhere else, you don't live from the desert southwest, and you want to know what else is going to be happening, the models are definitely indicating towards an active pattern. You can see snowstorms and storms will be piling in through the northwest and the classic La Nina fashion. A lot of mountain snow there potentially for the Pacific Northwest. And as we continue this into the future, there is a potential for a really large system next week, Wednesday. The European and GFS are in a bit of disagreement, but they both show a system here, and you can see that's going to have quite a bit of wind with it, a strong low pressure, and potentially a snowy backside to it. So that is definitely something to watch. And just to show you that the European also shows this system around next week Wednesday, and you can see there's that system again. The current one blows through, mainly rain and light showers for the Northeast and Midwest by the time it gets there, and then we have that massive Northwest system that comes through and produces potentially a really large widespread system with a lot of strong wind and potentially very cold air for the Midwest behind it. You can see the European model showing definitely cooler weather coming in. It's interesting though, you could see that for a system of this time of the year, it definitely should have more ability to pull in more colder air behind it. It will have, below average temperatures, but it seems as if the warm air out ahead of it will be more anomalous and a cooler behind it. Well, that's basically it. That's all I wanted to cover, guys, and I'll catch you all on the next episode. Stay safe, and I'll continue updating you guys on this winter storm in the Southwest.